The room was filled with representatives from the most advanced civilizations of the galaxy, their eyes fixed on the Earth delegation, standing before the Universal Council. Earth had waited for this moment for centuries. The dream of joining the interstellar community was finally within reach. Human history had been one of struggle, survival, and relentless ambition. The Earth delegation knew they had the strength and the intellect to contribute to the greater good of the galaxy. They had sent their brightest leaders and most skilled diplomats to this meeting, prepared to present Earth's case with everything they had. The council chambers were vast and imposing, with walls that shimmered with light emitted by the stars outside. The high seats were occupied by beings from dozens of species, each as ancient and powerful as the galaxy itself. The most notable among them were the Aldrathi, an insectoid species known for their wisdom, the Xerics, a technologically superior reptilian race with a ruthless reputation, and the Xylorians, a peaceful race of energy beings who believed in harmony and balance across the cosmos. The humans stood in stark contrast to these beings, small in comparison, yet exuding an unshakable confidence. They had learned from their past mistakes and had evolved into a civilization that was now capable of space travel and interplanetary diplomacy. They had overcome wars, global conflicts, and environmental disasters, all while developing technologies that had propelled them to the stars. Their representatives spoke of their advancements in artificial intelligence, space exploration, and peaceful coexistence. The message was clear: humanity was ready to join the galactic community. But when the votes were cast, the unexpected happened. The Aldrathi leader stood and delivered the verdict in a tone that sent a chill through the room. Earth's application for membership was denied outright without explanation. Earth would not be allowed to join the council. The decision was unanimous. The humans were shocked. Their hearts sank as they tried to process the gravity of what had just occurred. The representatives looked at each other, exchanging bewildered glances, but the Xerics did not hide their smirks. Their eyes gleamed with the satisfaction of having won another political battle. The Earth delegation tried to speak their case, but it was clear that the council had already made up their minds. They were told that humanity was too volatile, too unpredictable, too young to be trusted with the responsibilities of galactic membership. The Xerics took the opportunity to argue that humanity's history of conflict made them dangerous, that their rapid technological advancements would soon lead to instability. They accused Earth of being a ticking time bomb of potential chaos. The human representatives stood silent, their faces pale, as the words hit them like a physical blow. They had been rejected by the very beings they had looked up to for centuries. It was not just a diplomatic setback. It was a blow to their identity, a rejection of everything humanity had worked for since the first footsteps on the moon. Their voices became quiet as they prepared to leave the chamber. As they turned to leave, one of the human delegates, the youngest of them, stood tall and addressed the room, her voice unwavering. She spoke of Earth's resilience and how humanity had always risen from the ashes of adversity. She spoke of the unity that had been forged among the nations of Earth after centuries of division, and how humanity would not be defined by the decision of the Council. They would find another way, and they would prove the galaxy wrong. The chamber fell silent for a long moment as the human delegation exited the room, their heads held high. The decision had been made, and the rejection stung, but it was not the end of their journey. It was only the beginning. Back on Earth, the rejection was felt like a weight pressing down on every citizen. The message had been sent across every news network across the globe, and it was clear: humanity had been shut out. But as the initial shock wore off, something else began to stir within the hearts of Earth's people. It was not despair. It was something far stronger: anger, resolve, and an unwavering determination to prove their worth to the galaxy. In the halls of power, the leaders of Earth's nations convened in a secret meeting, their faces grim yet filled with an unspoken understanding. The rejection wasn't just an insult to their leaders. It was an insult to every citizen on Earth who had dreamed of being part of the larger galactic community. And in that room, as they looked at one another, a silent agreement formed. They would not let this stand. Earth would not remain on the sidelines of the cosmos. They would forge their own path, and they would rise to greatness, with or without the Council's approval. The old divisions between nations, countries that had once fought bitter wars over resources and ideologies, seemed to melt away in the face of this common goal. The leaders of former adversarial nations set aside their differences and started to collaborate in ways that had never been seen before. Governments dissolved their bureaucratic barriers and pooled their resources, all focused on one singular mission: to make Earth a galactic power on its own terms. The thought of being locked out of the stars had ignited a fire within humanity, a fire that no one could extinguish. The first order of business was unity. Earth had spent centuries divided into nations and conflicting ideologies, but now the world had to think as one. The Earth Alliance was formed, a new governing body that would represent all of humanity, working for the collective benefit of every nation and every citizen. Every country on Earth, from the Americas to Asia, from Europe to Africa, agreed to contribute their knowledge, their resources, and their workforce to a single mission: the creation of a fleet that would carry humanity into the stars and beyond. Scientists, engineers, and visionaries from all corners of the planet began to work together, sharing knowledge that had once been kept secret. The world's best minds turned their attention to the challenge of building ships capable of traveling across the galaxy. What they came up with was something the galaxy had never seen before: a fleet of ships that combined the ingenuity and determination of humanity with cutting-edge technologies. Each ship would be a beacon of human brilliance, built to explore, protect, and expand Earth's influence in the universe. As the months passed, Earth's once lagging space programs became an unstoppable force. Ships began to take shape, massive, powerful warships designed to withstand the harshest conditions of deep space and carry humanity's banner to every corner of the galaxy. But these ships were not only armed with advanced weaponry. They were equipped with life support systems, medical technologies, and terraforming capabilities that could change the fate of entire planets. Earth would not simply conquer new worlds. They would make them their own. The first ship to be launched was the Vanguard, a massive vessel that would serve as humanity's flagship in the new era. Its name symbolized the spirit of humanity's first step into the unknown. It was built with cutting-edge alloys that could resist enemy fire, and its engines were powered by a new form of energy that could propel it faster than anything previously imaginable. The Vanguard was the first of many, but it would carry the hopes of an entire planet on its journey into the stars. Meanwhile, on Earth, the public was abuzz with excitement. News of the Alliance's plans spread like wildfire, and for the first time in history, people from all nations, all walks of life, were united in a single cause. The hum of machinery echoed across factories and research labs, where humans worked side by side, driven by a shared vision of a future where Earth was not just a planet on the edge of the galaxy, but a center of power, innovation, and prosperity. Humanity had always been resilient, but now they had something they had never had before: unity. And with this newfound unity, they would make their mark on the universe. The stars were no longer distant dreams. They were within reach, and Earth was determined to claim its place among them. The journey was just beginning, and humanity would stop at nothing to ensure its success. The Vanguard stood at the heart of Earth's fledgling fleet, a shining testament to humanity's newfound unity and ambition. It was the first of many ships that would leave Earth's orbit, each one carrying with it the weight of human hope. But the Vanguard had a purpose far beyond exploration. It was Earth's statement to the galaxy that they would not be silenced, that they would not accept rejection without consequence. As the fleet readied itself for departure, Earth's leaders, now unified under the banner of the Earth Alliance, decided on their first target. The Xerics, one of the most powerful and influential races in the galaxy, had been the loudest in their opposition to humanity's application to the Universal Council. They had insisted that Earth's volatile history made it a danger to galactic stability. To the humans, this was nothing more than a thinly veiled excuse to maintain their own supremacy. The Xerics had to be dealt with first. The Vanguard's mission was clear: reach the Xeric homeworld, deliver a message, and show the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. The fleet, which consisted of newly developed warships and several smaller vessels carrying Earth's elite soldiers, was prepared to strike with precision, to show that Earth's strength lay not in mindless aggression, but in a calculated resolve to secure its future among the stars. As the fleet entered Jeric space, the calm of deep space was shattered by the hum of engines and the glow of interstellar drives. The Jerics had expected humanity to take years, perhaps decades, to develop a fleet capable of reaching their homeworld. They had underestimated Earth. The Vanguard was already in Jeric orbit, its massive form casting a shadow over their capital planet before they even had a chance to react. When the Jeric forces scrambled to intercept, they were met with a demonstration of humanity's technological superiority. The Vanguard was armed with weapons no one had seen before, energy-based artillery that disintegrated enemy ships in mere seconds, shields that absorbed and deflected the most advanced Jeric weapons, and a fleet of drones that moved with pinpoint precision, overwhelming the Jeric defenses before they could mobilize a proper counterattack. The battle was swift, too swift for the Jerics to mount a meaningful resistance. It wasn't just a military victory, it was a psychological one. The message had been sent. Earth was not a powerless, naive species. They had the power, the intelligence, and the will to take on even the most fearsome civilizations. The Jerics, stunned by the efficiency and force of the human strike, were forced into retreat, their once mighty fleet scattering into the void. But this wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about setting a precedent. Earth would not be silenced, and no one would question their place in the galaxy again. As the fleet returned to Earth's orbit, triumphant, the news spread like wildfire. The people of Earth watched in awe as the Vanguard and its companions re-entered the atmosphere, their flags proudly flying under the bright lights of Earth's sky. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived, and it would not be ignored. The Universal Council had made a mistake, and now the galaxy would learn the true power of Earth. Back in the corridors of the Universal Council, the Jeric representative, once so sure of their victory, simmered in anger. They had underestimated humanity, and they had paid the price. Word of Earth's triumph would soon reach the rest of the galaxy. And in the minds of the Council's other members, doubt began to creep in. Perhaps Earth wasn't as chaotic and unpredictable as they had assumed. Perhaps it was time to reassess the decision that had been made. But for now, Earth had made its mark, and nothing would be the same again. The success of the Vanguard's mission was nothing short of a turning point for humanity. The fleet's swift victory over the Jerics sent ripples through the galaxy, shaking the foundations of the Universal Council. It wasn't just the power of the Vanguard that made an impact, it was the symbol of humanity's potential. Earth had stood up, unafraid, and struck out on its own terms, and the galaxy was now forced to take notice. Back on Earth, the mood shifted from cautious optimism to explosive enthusiasm. The victory was celebrated worldwide, but it also marked the beginning of something much greater. Humanity's first strike had proven that they could not only survive in the vast, dangerous cosmos, they could thrive. The Earth Alliance, now more unified than ever, began to plan for a future that was no longer limited by the constraints of their homeworld. The dream of space exploration, once a far-off fantasy, was now a tangible reality. The fleet grew rapidly, with new ships being constructed at an unprecedented rate. The Earth Alliance poured resources into its military and technological development, determined to ensure that Earth's influence expanded quickly and efficiently. The Vanguard was soon joined by other warships, each one more advanced than the last. These ships were not just for combat. They were vessels of exploration, capable of reaching distant stars and discovering new worlds to be claimed. They were equipped with state-of-the-art terraforming technology, capable of transforming hostile planets into habitable environments for human colonies. Earth's empire was beginning to take shape. New colonies sprang up on previously uninhabited planets, and humanity's presence began to stretch across the galaxy. Earth's former divisions seemed to vanish as the global community now worked toward a singular goal: expansion. The once fragmented nations of Earth found common ground in the idea of a collective future. From the frozen tundras of the north to the deserts of Africa, humans worked side by side, constructing the infrastructure of a new empire. The Earth Alliance also established diplomatic outreach programs with other species, extending an olive branch to those who had been left behind by the Universal Council. Many, like the Vroka, a once dispossessed race, flocked to Earth's banner, eager for the chance to thrive in a system that valued cooperation rather than subjugation. The news of Earth's growth spread across the galaxy. Some species, initially skeptical of humanity's rapid rise, began to reconsider their views. There were those who saw Earth as a beacon of opportunity, a place where technology and innovation flourished, and where peace and order were within reach. Other races, however, remained wary. The Xerics, humiliated by their defeat, began to lobby the Universal Council for a counterattack, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. The Council, still reeling from the shock of humanity's unexpected military power, hesitated to act against a rising empire that now commanded such a formidable presence. On Earth, the pace of change was dizzying. The once archaic space programs were now the backbone of a galactic empire. Research labs buzzed with excitement as humanity's scientists, now working in tandem with their new allies, developed even more advanced technologies. Bioengineering, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing reached new heights. Military strategies were refined, and human soldiers trained for combat in ways never before imagined. The once small, isolated species was now a force that could command respect across the stars. But with power came responsibility. Earth's leaders knew that expanding too quickly could destabilize their newfound empire. They were aware of the dangers of overreaching, and thus they moved carefully. They didn't seek to conquer every planet they encountered. Some were too hostile or too alien for peaceful coexistence. Instead, Earth focused on creating a coalition of worlds united by a shared vision of prosperity, where the spirit of unity, cooperation, and mutual respect was paramount. As the Earth Empire continued to grow, the Council watched from a distance, unsure of how to react. Humanity had done what no one thought possible. They had built their own empire, one that was beginning to rival even the most established civilizations in the galaxy. But the humans weren't done yet. They were only just getting started. As Earth's empire grew and its presence in the galaxy expanded, the Universal Council could no longer ignore the rising human power. The success of the Vanguard's strike against the Xerics, coupled with Earth's swift colonization of new worlds, had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The Council, once confident in their control over galactic affairs, was now divided. Some saw the humans as a necessary force of change, while others feared what their unchecked ambition might bring. Tensions within the Council reached a boiling point, and whispers of action against Earth began to surface. The Xerics, humiliated and desperate for revenge, became the loudest voice calling for retribution. They argued that humanity's rise posed a direct threat to the delicate balance of power that had existed for centuries. The Xerics accused Earth of aggression, claiming their military capabilities were too advanced and unpredictable for galactic stability. Other members of the Council, however, remained skeptical of these accusations, having witnessed the results of the Vanguard's operation. They knew that humanity's victory had been swift and efficient, not an act of senseless violence, but one of calculated force. Despite these differing viewpoints, the Council decided to act. A vote was called, and it was clear that the majority sought to put Earth in its place. A fleet would be sent, a joint operation of Council forces designed to neutralize Earth's growing influence. They would strike at the heart of Earth's empire, crush their fleet, and remind the humans that they were still beneath the galactic powers that had ruled for eons. The fleet assembled quickly, a formidable coalition of forces from the Aldrathi, Xerics, and several other species, all with one goal: to dismantle humanity's rise before it could grow too strong. This coalition was unlike any force the galaxy had seen. vast and powerful, with ships that dwarfed even Earth's most advanced warships. The Council believed their collective might would be more than enough to crush the human threat. The humans, after all, were still new to this, still learning how to wield their power. It would be a simple matter to break their will. But Earth was not unprepared. The Vanguard and the fleet of warships that had grown alongside it were more than capable of defending the young empire. The humans had learned quickly, studying the tactics of every race they had encountered, and they knew the Council's fleet was coming. Earth had spent months fortifying its colonies, preparing new weapons, and reinforcing its military. The new fleet was ready to strike back. They wouldn't sit idly by and wait for their enemies to come to them. Earth would meet the Council head-on, and this time they would prove that humanity was not some fledgling race to be dismissed. They were a force that could not be crushed. The battle began at the outskirts of the Sol system, just beyond the asteroid belt. The Council fleet arrived first, their ships ominously dark against the backdrop of space. The fleet was massive, their numbers overwhelming. Earth's warships, while formidable, were outnumbered and outgunned. But the humans had something that the Council could never understand: a fierce determination and a willingness to fight for survival. The Vanguard led the charge, its guns opening fire as the human fleet engaged with the Council's armada. The first shots rang out like thunder, shaking the void. The Council fleet, expecting an easy victory, was caught off guard by the precision and ferocity of Earth's response. The Vanguard unleashed its devastating energy weapons, tearing through the shields of the Aldrathi ships. Earth's fleet moved with a coordinated grace, attacking with ruthless efficiency. The Council forces had underestimated Earth's ability to adapt and evolve. They had forgotten that humanity had always risen to meet its greatest challenges. As the battle raged on, it became clear that the humans were not simply defending themselves. They were fighting to win. Earth's warships, equipped with advanced propulsion systems and weapons designed for maximum destruction, struck with a speed and force that threw the Council fleet into disarray. For every ship the Council sent, Earth sent too. For every blow they landed, humanity countered with something even more powerful. The humans were not just defending their empire, they were making the statement. And that statement was clear: Earth was here to stay. In the end, the battle ended in a stalemate, but the message had been sent. The Council's fleet had suffered significant losses, and humanity's resolve had been proven. No longer would Earth be underestimated. No longer would they be the underdog in galactic politics. The Universal Council had tried to crush Earth's empire, but instead they had only strengthened it. And as the remnants of the Council fleet retreated, the humans stood victorious. Knowing this was only the beginning of their journey, the aftermath of the battle with the Council fleet was a turning point for Earth. The humans had not only defended their empire, but had done so with overwhelming force, forcing the Universal Council to reconsider its stance. Though the battle had ended in a tenuous stalemate, the message was clear: humanity was no longer a fledgling species to be ignored. They were a power in their own right, one capable of taking on the galaxy's most formidable forces and emerging victorious. Back on Earth, the victory was celebrated, but the leaders of the Earth Alliance knew this moment was only the beginning. The Council had been forced to retreat, but it wouldn't be long before they regrouped and sought new ways to challenge humanity's rise. The warships returned to Earth's orbit, and the fleet was quickly reinforced. The Earth Dominion, as it was now called, began to focus on consolidating its power, expanding its territories, and preparing for the inevitable next phase of the struggle. The Vanguard remained at the forefront of humanity's military operations, but it was joined by the newest addition to the fleet, the Pride of Earth, a massive dreadnought that dwarfed all other ships. It was equipped with the latest advancements in weaponry, shield technology, and interstellar travel. Its purpose was clear: to lead humanity into the next stage of their galactic conquest. But as the Dominion expanded, so too did the divisions within the galaxy. While some species, like the Vroka, continued to align themselves with Earth, Others were beginning to feel the weight of humanity's presence. The Council may have temporarily retreated, but its influence remained strong, especially with the Xerics, who were still hell-bent on ensuring humanity did not rise unchecked. Despite the increasing pressure, the humans were determined to proceed with their plans. Earth's leaders, now fully aware of the risks, took a bold step forward. They began a campaign of both military and diplomatic outreach, forging new alliances with races that had once been enemies. The Xerics, who had been the first to oppose Earth's rise, found themselves outpaced by the diplomatic and strategic genius of the humans. One by one, their former allies began to distance themselves from their cause. The fear that humanity's growth inspired was giving way to a grudging respect for their resolve and ambition. Yet, despite Earth's rapid expansion, the Council was not idle. The political situation in the galaxy had become volatile. Tensions were rising, and it was only a matter of time before the Council took decisive action once more. But this time, the humans were prepared. Earth's military and diplomatic efforts had reshaped the galaxy's balance of power. Humanity had not just defended their empire. They had begun to shape the destiny of the stars. The Pride of Earth was dispatched on its first major mission, to visit a distant sector where the resources of an uncharted planet could fuel the Dominion's growth. As it journeyed through deep space, the crew knew that this was not merely an exploration. This was an assertion of control over unclaimed territories. The new worlds would serve as a foundation for Earth's growing influence, and with each new colony established, humanity's presence would be felt further across the galaxy. But there were whispers in the stars, carried by those who feared the human empire's rise. Some said that the Council would soon seek vengeance, and that Earth's newfound power would ignite a galaxy-wide war. Others claimed that humanity's ambitions would push them too far, that they would eventually turn on their allies as they had once turned on each other. There was no denying that the Earth Dominion had created an unprecedented shift in the galaxy's political landscape. The Council's long-standing reign of influence was slipping, and in its place, a new force was emerging. A force led by a species that had once been denied entry to the stars, but was now claiming them as their own. Back on Earth, the leaders of the Dominion began to prepare for what was coming. Their message to the galaxy was simple: Earth would not be silenced, and it would not be stopped. They had fought too hard, sacrificed too much, and conquered too many challenges to bow down before any entity. The Earth Dominion would rise, and with it, humanity would leave an indelible mark on the galaxy. No longer would they be a mere footnote in the history of the stars. They would shape that history with their own hands. The Earth Dominion's expansion continued unabated. The Pride of Earth and its sister ships roamed the farthest reaches of space, claiming new colonies, forging alliances, and establishing humanity's dominance across the stars. Yet beneath the surface of this rapid rise, tensions simmered. For every new world that fell under the Dominion's influence, for every victory humanity achieved, there were whispers of dissent, not just from the remaining factions within the Universal Council, but from within Earth itself. Despite Earth's outward unity, cracks began to appear in the foundation of the Dominion. The vast expansion and the relentless pursuit of power had begun to strain the alliance. The colonies, many of which were now heavily populated, started to feel the weight of Earth's rule. What had been presented as a cooperative network of worlds was beginning to feel more like an empire, and some began to question the cost of this progress. On the fringe worlds, once free from the reach of galactic politics, human settlers began to experience the harsh realities of the Dominion's laws. The colonies were expected to produce, to support Earth's ever-growing ambitions, but they were also increasingly subjected to the Dominion's strict regulations. Resources were diverted to support Earth's needs, leaving the colonies to suffer from neglect and economic disparity. The people who had come to these worlds in search of freedom now found themselves trapped under a system that demanded their loyalty but offered little in return. Rebellion began to brew in the shadows. It started with small acts of defiance. Groups of miners on distant planets who refused to comply with Earth's resource quotas, citizens who spoke out against the heavy-handed tactics of the Dominion's military, and leaders who quietly rallied their people with promises of independence. These groups, though small at first, began to unite under a common banner, a vision of a galaxy not ruled by Earth, but free from the domination of any single power. They called themselves the Free Coalition. The Earth Alliance, aware of the growing unrest, began to monitor the situation. They had expected some resistance. It was natural for those who had not experienced the unity of Earth to struggle with the rapid changes. However, what they hadn't anticipated was the strength and coordination of the rebellion. The Free Coalition had managed to rally support from colonies that had once been loyal to Earth, and soon they were armed with ships capable of striking at the Dominion's weakest points. Earth's once dominant fleet, stretched thin by their expansive reach, was vulnerable. The first true test came when the Free Coalition launched a surprise attack on one of Earth's strategic outposts in the Outer Rim. The assault was quick, ruthless, and expertly coordinated. The Dominion's forces, although powerful, were caught off guard. In the span of a single night, the Coalition had destroyed several key supply lines and crippled the outpost's defenses, sending shockwaves across the Dominion. The leadership of the Earth Dominion reacted swiftly. Fleet admirals and high-ranking generals were called into action, and military campaigns were initiated to stamp out the rebellion before it could spread further. But there was a problem. The rebellion wasn't just some scattered force of misaligned colonists. It had become a movement, a symbol of the dissatisfaction that had begun to take root among the very people Earth had once sought to protect and govern. Meanwhile, on Earth itself, the population began to feel the effects of the unrest. The government, once united in its pursuit of galactic dominance, now found itself divided. The leaders who had pushed for the rapid expansion of the Dominion faced growing opposition from those who had begun to question whether humanity was overextending itself. Was the price of expansion too great? Was Earth's grip on the galaxy causing more harm than good? Debates raged in the corridors of power, and for the first time in years, the people of Earth were forced to confront the consequences of their rapid rise. Could the Earth Dominion survive this internal conflict, or would it fracture under the weight of its own ambition? As the Free Coalition's attacks grew bolder, and the Dominion's military efforts became more desperate, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted. The once unchallenged authority of Earth was now in jeopardy. Rebellion was not just brewing in the colonies, it was spreading to the very heart of the Dominion. And as the war raged, both sides knew that the outcome would define the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. The rebellion against the Earth Dominion had ignited a war that neither side had expected to escalate so quickly. What had started as scattered resistance on distant colonies had become an all-out civil war, tearing through the very core of the Dominion. The Free Coalition, now a fully realized threat, continued to strike with precision, inflicting heavy losses on Earth's military. Each victory for the rebels was a blow to the once proud empire, and Earth's grip on the galaxy was slipping faster than anyone had anticipated. The Free Coalition's forces had grown stronger with each passing month. What had once been a loose collection of disgruntled colonies was now a highly organized, formidable military force. They had managed to form alliances with other species, both those oppressed by the Dominion and those who had remained neutral but now saw Earth as a threat. The war was no longer just a fight for independence. It was a struggle for the soul of the galaxy. On Earth, the situation had reached a breaking point. The government, once unified in its pursuit of galactic supremacy, had splintered into factions. The elite leaders who had pushed for expansion were now at odds with those who wanted peace, those who sought a return to Earth's focus on its own survival rather than further conquest. Public support for the war had begun to wane, with protests erupting in the streets of Earth's largest cities. The toll of the war had become too great, and the question on everyone's mind was simple: was this the future humanity had fought for? Amidst this chaos, the leadership of the Earth Dominion called for an emergency summit, hoping to find a way to negotiate a peace with the Free Coalition. But as the representatives from both sides gathered in the capital, a sudden shockwave of realization hit. The galaxy was not willing to stand by while Earth bled itself dry. The once dominant power that had struck fear into the hearts of every species was now vulnerable, and others, alien races and former allies alike, saw their chance to push back. The Universal Council, which had watched from the sidelines as Earth's empire grew, now made its move. The once weakened council, fractured and uncertain after the human victory over the Xerics, had regained its strength. In the wake of the rebellion, it offered a path that could end the war once and for all. A new treaty was proposed, one that would dissolve the Earth Dominion and bring a halt to humanity's expansionist ambitions. It was an offer that could potentially spare Earth from total destruction, but required them to relinquish their grip on the stars. The negotiations were tense, with both sides deeply entrenched in their positions. Earth's leaders, realizing the extent of the rebellion and the growing discontent within their own empire, were forced to make a difficult choice. The desire for peace, for the survival of humanity, outweighed the hunger for further conquest. Humanity had achieved more than anyone had expected, but now it was time to rebuild, to redefine their place in the galaxy. The treaty was signed in a moment that would mark the end of an era for the Earth Dominion. The empire that had once stretched across the stars was no more, and with it, the ambition that had driven humanity to the edge of greatness and ruin. But Earth had not been defeated. Instead, it had evolved. In the years that followed, Earth's role in the galaxy shifted. No longer a singular dominant empire, humanity found its place as one of many in a new galactic order. The lessons learned from their rise and fall shaped the next generation of leaders who focused on diplomacy, cooperation, and rebuilding what had been broken. Earth's colonies, once seen as distant outposts of imperial expansion, became thriving centers of culture, trade, and shared knowledge. The Free Coalition, now an ally rather than an enemy, worked alongside Earth to create a more balanced and fair galactic system. The human spirit, however, remained unchanged. They had weathered the storm of conflict, the challenges of empire, and the chaos of rebellion. They had learned that the true power of humanity was not in conquest, but in the ability to adapt, to unite, and to build anew. The galaxy, once wary of their rise, now looked to Earth with a mixture of respect and curiosity, knowing that humanity's journey was far from over. As Earth's leaders gazed at the stars from their new position of cooperation, they understood that the future was not in domination, but in shared destiny. And in this new galaxy, humanity would forge a future not as conquerors, but as equals ready to take its place among the stars, not through force, but through the legacy of resilience, unity, and hope.